Greetings from yesterday.
So this morning I went for a walk with Charlie and I very nearly slipped over on the pavement in the ice left from the snow. So there's something there about be careful what you wish for, I guess. Having said that, I am still very much loving the snow. But as you can tell by the fact I brought a big box into the room, this video isn't about snow. Instead, this video is about nostalgia. You see, yesterday I had to go into the cupboard that Charlie and I never go into. It's where we sort of put things when we don't know where they should live. A sort of storage cupboard, if you will. And when I was in the cupboard, I spotted this box here. A box I haven't seen in a couple of years. That's a lie. I must have seen it when I moved into this place, which was less than a year ago, but I haven't looked in it for a couple of years. Charlie and I move around quite a lot, and when we moved in 2020, I think I had a look in this on stream, so I have some idea of some of the things that are in here. But in all honesty, I didn't have a thorough look, and I didn't look at everything, so I'm quite excited to look through this. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I used the example of the Black Power Ranger Funko Pop, but I could have just as easily used this White Ranger little figure here. On my shelf here, I've got my Nan's old video camera. I've got my first ever video camera. Basically, I refuse to let go of things from my childhood. And I can't tell you why that is. Nostalgia is just an incredibly powerful tool. I even recently started emulating Pokemon Fire Red on an old phone, just so I had something to do whilst I was travelling. Currently my team consists of a Butterfree called Bip, a Magikarp called Splish, a Charmeleon called Flameboy. I would normally start with a Bulbasaur, which made me start with a Charmander on this occasion, a Pikachu called Mockley, an Oddish called Charlotte, and a Kadabra called Marcel. When I was younger, I used to not like naming the Pokemon, so when I was playing this the other day, I decided, no, I'm going to name these Pokemon. In other words, the power of nostalgia on me is strong. And the owners of big companies know this. That's why they shill the same old crap all the time, and I'm a sucker for old crap. So let's get into this box of wonder and see what we're dealing with. I can already see some good things in the top here. Item number one is this Motorola. I don't know what make this is, but I do remember when I got this. I got this in year 10 or year 11, and it was the first ever camera phone I owned, and it's huge. Like, I used to walk around with that in my pocket, but it has a camera on the back and a camera on the front, and I tell you what, back then, when I got this in 2005, that was massive. And I remember I would share clips with other people that happened to have video phones. I think if I could turn this on, there'd be like Monty Python clips in here. We seem to be Bluetoothing those to each other. It would take a whole lesson. But yeah, very nostalgic for this bad boy. And it seems like we got another phone here. I don't really remember ever really using this, but look at that. I got a feeling that was one of my dad's old phones. And then we got my first ever smartphone, this little HTC number. Oh, this was so exciting when I got this. I remember this being like the height of technology. I wonder if it turns on. I reckon I can still charge this bad boy, so I'm going to see if this will turn on. Whilst we're waiting for that to juice up, a Wayne's World hat that I made for a fancy dress party once. Oh my god, the phone just turned on. Okay, it's going now. It died as soon as I unplugged it. It had one of those old school things where you swipe to pattern to unlock it, and I couldn't remember the pattern. So I'm going to have to leave it to your imagination, the untold things that could be on that phone. A stack of CDs? I mean, that's just retro in itself, isn't it? Rewritable CDs? Lots of old phones. What was my problem with throwing away old phones? Look at this bad boy. 1.3 megapixel camera on the back there. Woo! Just lots and lots of really old phones, including this cool sliding Sony Ericsson. I think that's pretty badass. This is also like a Walkman one, and I remember like slide phones used to be sort of the height of cool. I always preferred the slide phone to the flip phone because of the way you could hang up. And the granddaddy of all phones, that's right, baby. I've got one of these bad boys, and it's got a picture of a Ferrari on the back, which is interesting because I'm not a car guy. Never have been. Something that's not old is this random cassette tape still in its wrapper. That might be worth something now. Like, how easy is it to come across a cassette still in its wrapper these days? I'm keeping hold of that. Of course I'm keeping hold of it. I clearly can't let go of things. Got this thing here, which is a Kodak Play. This was at the age where everyone had those flip pocket cameras that had the little USB stick that would pop out. And I decided to buy myself this instead because it was cheaper. But also, this is the first ever camera I bought myself. That camera back there was a birthday gift. I bought this for myself, and I remember being particularly excited about this one compared to the flips because it was waterproof. I don't know what I thought I'd need waterproof cameras for, but yeah, very excited about that. It's a bit sort of worn out now. Look at that. Oh, this is good. This is good. I've got a Zen Creative Micro. Now, I'll be honest with you, this was my sister's. This wasn't mine. I had an iPod, but I do remember using this for a little bit when my iPod broke, and you being able to slide through and select different songs on there. This bad boy, that's got to be worth something now to someone. And that's why I'll never get rid of this crap, because I convinced myself it's worth something, and it's clearly not.
Diving headfirst into the abyss.
Something which was always mine and not my little sister's is this cassette player here. Not a Sony Walkman, but a Sharp. This is probably the most nostalgic item of the lot, because I used to listen to music on this all the time, every single car journey, and I would have cassettes like this, which I made myself off the radio. I know that this is something that everyone did, or certainly everyone my age did, but my God, it was fun to make your own mixtapes and listen to them in here. Like a lot of my stuff back then, it is missing the sort of battery compartment thing. But the world was a simpler place back then, but also there was no Google Maps. I quite like Google Maps. Right, let's try get a bit deeper in. Now, this is an interesting item, this item right here. As alluded to a couple of times, I used to be a massive Muse fan, to the point where I used to frequent Muse forums, and this was a flag that was made by the forum to hold up at gigs, and the idea was that you would get it, you would sign it, and then you would send it to someone else in the forum when they were going to a gig. I think we're talking sort of 2003 to 2005. I can't remember exactly when it is, but I know for a fact that this is signed by Matt Bellamy. Look, there is Matt Bellamy's signature. If you're not a Muse fan, that doesn't mean a lot. Now, this is where a bit of a confession comes in, because when I received this flag, I took it to a show, and then I just kept it. It wasn't because I didn't want to send it on, but no one asked for it, and after a while I thought, well, if no one's going to ask for it, I'm just going to keep it. And now I have a musty, slightly mouldy Muse flag, which is stained by beer, but it is signed by Matt Bellamy. If anyone from the old Uno Muse forum is watching this, I am very sorry. To put it into context, this has made it to Helsinki, Stockholm, Chicago, Paris. The carbon footprint on this is insane, but it ended up stuck with me in Cambridgeshire. Oh man, I feel bad. Moving swiftly on from that thing that made me feel bad, a Tamagotchi. I don't really need to talk much about Tamagotchis. Everyone remembers these. Everyone remembers that they eventually got banned in their class. And actually, they were kind of a faff, but we were into them for a while. Maybe I can do a video where I track down everyone who signed this and apologise to them. I think that's pretty much all the cool stuff. I've got this old walkie-talkie, which me and some of my other friends in the village I grew up in had, and we would play big games across the entire village of Manhunt, and we would give each other sort of clues as to where we were. That's pretty cool, but we've all got sort of iPhones now, so that's redundant. I do have another box which has gaming things in it, like Game Boys and Sega Master Systems. I thought that stuff might be in here, but I clearly overestimated how much stuff can fit in this box. So there may be another nostalgia run somewhere further down the line, if that's something you're into, but I think we're going to leave it there, and I will see you tomorrow. And of course, don't be a dick, says the guy who stole a flag.